Hey good looking, welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for joining me. Today we will be going over the old versus the new, natural hair versus the synthetic. Can the new MAC 224S live up to the MAC 224 standards? Hi, I'm Kendra Morgan Official, and I like to put out content weekly centered around single eyeshadows, makeup brushes that aren't Morphe, and sunscreen. So if you like that kind of content, please be sure to subscribe. Let's get started. I'm going to show you guys a demonstration between these two brushes so you can see them in action and how I got this look. So let's go ahead and check that out because that's going to tell you a lot about how the brushes perform. Let's get started. I've got the brushes here and I figure we'll do my left, your right with the MAC 224S. And then I'm going to do my right, your left with the MAC 224. Natural bristle brush, so we can kind of do some comparisons, but here they are. I will be featuring this palette, so let's get started. This shade first. This is a matte leather, I think it is, and I'm showing you how it picks up. It's a little bit light. I'm dipping in. I'm having to really, this is not something I'm used to doing anyways. This is packed kind of hard. There we go. Really getting any color. There we go. I'm seeing just like a faint wash of color with the 224. Very scratchy, definitely not a brush that I gravitate towards on a daily basis. I have to be in the mood to want to scratch my eyelids out. What can I say? Yeah, so here, I'm going to show you if I, oh, sorry, I don't mean to blind you. Pull this all the way back. So I'm really digging in. And then you can see I've got a nice little fluff of powder, but nothing really, like normally if I would have dug into like say I'm a Makeup Geek or a Sydney Gray shadow, I mean the entire bristles would just be coated. So just like a super light wash of color. Let's see if it is the same way. Kind of looks like this might be a formula thing. Well, maybe not. This is definitely more detailed. You can see on the bristles here, you know, in relation to my eye, this is definitely a much more detailed blender. It's really soft. Again, going in one more time, picking up. I think this might be just the formula of the MAC palette that I'm using because I don't really see this with very many other shadows when I use my 224. It's a really scratchy brush. The cuticles on that sucker are, you know, nice and wide open, so we shouldn't really have too many problems picking up. Okay, this is the third dip. And I finally feel like I have a sufficient amount and really no color. No color. I mean, just a sheer wash of color. I think I got enough on both sides. This one's going to be really hard to have anything that's controlling, but let's try. Let's go in with this brown here. So again, I'm going to hold up the palette and show me dipping in. I don't know if you can see too much. I'm going to dip a couple more times. Yeah, I've got a little bit of payoff there. Little bit. I'm bringing that up and around. Okay, going in again. Really going honky-tonk wild with this. Oh, there we go, I got some. It feels like almost like you have to scratch the surface just a little bit to get a little bit of that embossing seal off. It's almost kind of like it's sealed. Normally I would take like a 217 equivalent, not a 224, but in this demonstration I just want to show you how the brushes work. So we'll be using it for a multitude of blending opportunities here. Okay, definitely my eyes watering a little bit on the outside because I was having to kind of creep into this lash line a little bit, and it was definitely scratchy. Back in with the 224S, and this seems to have picked up a little bit more. They do boast this technology kind of like Sigma, where it's a more cuticle-like. There we go. Again, not that much better. Kind of feels to me the same. I'm just going to tap one more time into it and dig around a little bit. And then apply. This is definitely a more precise application as far as the brush heads go, but I think that almost everybody would agree with me and see that. Okay, does give a much more sheer application, unless like I was just happen to pick up a little bit more product with the natural bristle brush. Yeah, it sheared it out a lot more. Let me dip one more time just slightly and then kind of paste it on this outer 1/3 of the eyelid. Wipe my brush off just a little bit and kind of blend, feather in and blend up in this area. It's kind of like this has got like a tack to it, a little bit of tack, whereas this one is definitely super scratchy. Okay, I took a little break right there. You know how sometimes you have to. Okay. So we use it's like Max Cream to Powder formula, which is those right there. Now let's use a shimmery formula that has pigment to it and deepen the outer V and bring shimmer to it. Didn't really pick up very much. It picked up a little bit though. Let's see here. It's on this eye. No, it's supposed to be on this eye, sorry. I've already got creasing. Nice. I'm going to dip in one more time. Oh, there we go. I got a little bit more. Seems like it might just be the formula because the brush seems to be picking up just fine. Wait, it was supposed to be this eye. Let's just switch really quick to this one. And again, pick up. This is what happens when you take breaks. It looks like it added just fine. This isn't typically a brush I would use to pick up this product with. I would normally switch to like in the MAC world a 242 or even a 239 for this type of shadow. So we switched eyes on the brush test. Sorry, it happens, it's life. But you can see both are actually behaving about the same. Yeah, looking really good. Now this is going to be harder to like blend. This is a more precise blending, I'd say, for, you know, hooded eyes. I don't know if it would feather out because I know I have, just being like fully transparent here, I haven't washed this brush yet. I've like, you know, scrabbled with it on a rag, but that's about it. That's as far as I got. So there we go. Let me put the brushes back down the way they're supposed to go. No more crossing over, Kendra. Let's go into the next type of formula that we have, which is these like sparkler shades. Yes. And it kind of matches my shirt. I don't think you can see it though. So let's start with the natural bristle brush and wipe it off a little bit on just a rag. Grab some of this. It does pick up. It does pick up. We're looking good. We are looking good. Ooh. It's not placing the product. I didn't think it would. Let's be honest here, folks. It's not really going to. It's not designed to pick up sparkler shades like this, but let's just try it to see if we can get like a diffused look. Oh my goodness. This palette. Okay, I'm going to switch to a 242, but let's see how well it picks up product with the synthetic hair. Gonna dabble in there. Oh yeah, looks good. Looks like maybe even just a little bit more of product was picked up. And then again, because this is a little bit more precise, I'm able to place and, you know, actually kind of do a diffused look, if you will. So, you know, I can do one entire look with this brush. And there you go. I mean, if I just wanted to leave it like super diffused like this, I could do that. Actually, I know these two right here are supposed to be the sparkler shades, and I thought this pear green one was supposed to be also. I don't actually know. Feast Your Eyes. So that's a sparkler. Oh, okay. So Feast Your Eyes, sparkler. Let me just show you what I'm looking at right here on the back of the palette. You might not even be able to see that. It's so small, but they're doing this going down, and then they put a little slash for the other. Gotcha. I thought this was what a pear. Oops. I thought this was what a pear. Prismetallic is All That Jam. That's the only Prismetallic though. All That Jam. So all of them are sparklers except for the Prismetallic. I don't know. I have no idea, but I think this is the only one that's the Prismetallic. I thought both of these were. Nope. This is the Prismetallic, I guess. And then this shade right here. Yeah, this one right here is the topper shade. So this is the Prismetallic. Let me put the rest of this green shade on with the 224, because then I will layer the sparkler shade on top with the brushes. Yeah, let's do that. Does anybody want to see me using a 242? Oh yeah, you can build the opacity up quite intensely. That's nice. Look at that. I absolutely adore this color story. I think it's like the perfect color story going from summer to fall. You still have a couple of those shades in there, like this golden copper and this beautiful kind of an orchid shade that help to keep the feeling of summer alive as you transition into fall. And I think that's important. You know, not to transition too fast during your seasons, if you have seasons where you live. Here in the Midwest, we have all 4 seasons. Some of them are a little faster than others. Like fall and spring seem to go by so fast. Winter and summer seem to linger. Okay, there we go. Do it to the other side now. Should I use the other? I don't even know where my synthetic MAC 242 is. Couldn't even tell you. In the trash, that's where it needs to be. I had bought one and it looks so awful. I have a video. I will link it in the eye for you right up here, and you guys can see it. Hopefully my mic is good enough that you guys can't hear my Roomba running. It's literally right above me. So we could go one of two ways. If I don't have it set up correctly, you could be hearing it and thoroughly annoyed by now. Beautiful. All right, so this eye, we are dipping into the Prismatic shade, which is like an ultra sparkly glittery shade. And that's just gonna top. And I feel like bringing it all the way up to transition. Ooh, it worked really well. And then I'm leaving this green portion down here kind of open. Nice. Okay, let's try it with this one. Let me show you how I'm dipping in so you guys can see, you know, pickup process. That's important. Oh, look how much came on. It was the same with the other brush. I wish I would have shown you now. Let me just do it real quick. See, picks up. Same. So the brushes are performing very similarly, and that surprises me. The shape of the brushes, however, is not similar. So if you, and I'm gonna say this when I round things out and kind of debrief, but when you guys are shopping for these brushes, they perform the same way as far as hair goes. They are not the same shape. We'll touch on that a little bit more on the other side, but just so you know, heads up. This is not going to get as bad a review as I thought it was going to get. And I am kind of bringing it in here a little bit. Oops. And that is it for application. I'm going to go ahead and put on some liner and mascara and meet you guys on the other side for my final thoughts. Okay, so now you guys got a brief demonstration on how the brushes perform. And leave a comment down below if you were as surprised as I was on the actual performance of these brushes being from two different types of hair and how well they work. Let's go ahead and get into some details on what MAC says exactly about their new brush. And this is going to be specifically taken off the MAC website from the 224S brush on the limited edition. So if anything else is being said about this brush in the 224S non-limited edition, then I'll go ahead and also dive into that, but I think it'll probably be the same description as what, you know, the limited edition is. So, indulge in opulence with a luxurious special edition packaging blending brush enrobed in gilded Baroque packaging. The MAC 224S brush is a tapered blending brush that sheerly applies and blends eyeshadow and is perfect for contouring the creases. It has soft and wispy fibers that taper to form a medium-sized dome shape. Ideal for blending out harsh lines, the rounded tip provides enough control to contour eyes, while also being lightweight enough to softly diffuse any form of eyeshadow or pigment. This brush can also be used to precisely highlight brow bones or the nose. This best-selling brush is a must-have in every makeup bag. Our 100% synthetic brushes incorporate the latest innovations in fiber technology for superior performance and improved longevity. That is what the website says. I feel like it could have been in a romance novel, if you will. I was really surprised that the brushes actually performed very, very similar in terms of hair performance, like natural versus synthetic hair. They performed basically the same. They picked up the same amount of product, they placed the same amount of product. The difference lies in how the natural hair brush has splayed out over time, and this brush, it's just holding on to its shape. So I like to think of this brush like a Sigma E40, and it basically, you know, you can use it and it's always going back in and returning back to its original state. Like here I am going in and I'm really just kind of mucking this up quite a bit, and you can see it's kind of fluffed out a little bit, but then I go ahead and I go in and I've washed the brush and it's barely splayed out any. Like, I mean, I was cranking away at that puppy, so it doesn't surprise me that's a little bit more splayed out, but it's not really too much more. It's about the same same as it was before. It returns back, snaps back into the original state a lot better than this one. Like this one I would have to wash and reshape and condition just a little bit, you know, with like a little bit of conditioner to get this brush to kind of form. And it definitely doesn't look how I purchased it a couple years ago. It's quite a bit more splayed out, and there's a few hairs that are kind of sticking out that I might even have to now just kind of, you know, give them the cut. In terms of packaging wise, I fell in love with this limited edition packaging. Actually, the entire Tempting Fate collection really drew me in with the idea of this beautiful Victorian era inspired packaging and kind of that gilded Baroque embossing and Okay, so packaging or product, let's talk about ingredient wise. So this is natural bristle brushes. This is synthetic fiber. It's like a Taklon fiber, so it's still staying in my 2A category. This is going to be a 2B category, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I will link my brush classification video up here. So I am still able to compare these two, but just one is synthetic and one is natural bristle brush. This, just by how it feels like it's aluminum. So the ferrule's aluminum, so you wouldn't want to be like tapping excessively on the side of your favorite palette or anything like that, because you will dent this puppy, and the more you dent it up in this region, you will loosen your ferrule around here. I've had it happen a couple times. This is a nickel plated brass, so it's really good for makeup artist kits where it stays. It has that antimicrobial property to it to begin with. Also, it is less likely to dent. Not that it doesn't, but it's less likely to dent. It's a much harder metal alloy than this aluminum ferrule here. In terms of the handles, I don't know what kind of handle this is, because this dent right here would lend me to believe that this is actually kind of like some sort of like plastic encasing around a piece of wood maybe, or maybe the whole thing is plastic or something like that. It does have a metallic feel to it. I really couldn't tell you exactly what material it is made out of. I know that this is a enamel coated wood, and I think the wood is, it's not pine, I think it's pretty sturdy wood, and it's also primed underneath, or the wood is not pine because it's not as soft as some of my other brushes, but it is primered first off. Like when you see sometimes Sigma brushes flaking off up here, it's because they didn't take the time to properly prime the handles. These are. This one was manufactured in France. It has the little name up here. This one was manufactured in China, and the label for that is right up here. So you can see here that we're kind of not really comparing the same brush in terms of, you know, this is made in France, this is made in China, not really the same thing. But they are the same. I mean, in an effort to go cruelty-free, MAC has switched over to synthetic line. I think that's great. I think it's wonderful. However, everything kind of fares really well for this, except for they cheapened up the ferrules, they cheapened up the handles. Well, I don't really know if they cheapened up the ferrules on the actual 224S brush that you could buy that would look similar to this. I just know this limited edition one is a little bit cheaper. Also, they switch, which I've been wanting them to do this for a long time, and I don't understand why more brands don't do this, but they put the logo, the MAC logo up here. It's kind of embossed, and I think that's a really good idea, because this MAC logo up here on my handle on this brush, while it's extremely helpful when I am actually blending, if I was going to do a tutorial for you to see what number the brush is and what brand it's from, is very, very, very highly susceptible to getting chipped and also smudged off, and the paint wears off super easily on these. So I actually had to go in and add a coat of lacquer over the top of the paint on it, and I just took fingernail polish, clear fingernail polish, that's all I did. Yeah, I was a little bit. So this one retails for $32, I think. No, $35. The actual, let me see. So the actual synthetic tapered blending brush is retailing for $32, whereas the limited edition retailed for $35. I think that's garbage, because you're paying more for worse products, but you know, there you have it. It's all about the marketing. Overall, I was very satisfied with the brush's performance. However, I am finding out that the brush's materials lend me to believe it's not worth the price point. If you were a working makeup artist, you wouldn't spend $32 on a brush like this, and you also wouldn't spend $32 on the synthetic version of this brush. These were handcrafted in France, in Japan, and many of them, I think there might have been made in Canada, unless you actually got some of the machine made ones in China, which were only the duo fibers and the smaller handled, like lookbook in a box type of brush sets. Those were cheaper made, and they were manufactured on machines in China. So unless you were getting something like that, you were getting a very, very good quality, stood the test of time type of brush. However, I will say this does work. It does do its job. It performs. So it passes that as far as quality. So quality with respect to price, I'm going to have to say that fails. I think that you can get so many better brushes that are synthetic. They cross all their T's and dot all their I's, and you're not going to spend $32. You're definitely spending it for a name for this brush. Brands that I can think of off the top of my head are Omnia, Delium Tools, and also BK Beauty has a couple of brushes that look similar to this, and they also strike me. If you were in the market to buy and purchase off of maybe like AliExpress, I know that Jessup brushes are really, really good. There's, I have a couple of Jessup brushes that I own and I use them frequently. And they're all market between, I would say, $8 and $13. I think the Delium tool, if you just buy it by itself from the Golden Triangle series, I think it's $13. Well worth your money over buying a brush like this. Even if you were buying the black handle silver ferrule, I don't think that there's going to be any differences. They no longer manufacture these in their respective countries that used to be labeled on the handles anymore. I have no reason to believe that they are. But I could be wrong. Since it's a limited edition, it might have been manufactured in PRC just for this purpose, but I don't think so. I think that these are just that's where they manufacture them now. That's just what it is. Thanks so much for joining me in this episode of Makeup Brushes, and I hope you guys will choose to subscribe for more content like this in the future, and I can't wait to see you guys in my next video. Bye. Hi. Filming. The junkie mic.